If you've ever gotten up and thought, I cannot keep going like this, or I just don't want to do this, you're not alone. I'm not sure how many others there are that feel that way, but at the very least, the two of us, me and you, watching this video, are in this thing together. And it's not because you're lazy. Everyone in society is always focusing on an output, improvement, doing the most amount of work to appear busy and productive. So if you want to do less, or even sometimes do nothing at all, it comes off as lazy. But that's not it. In fact, there's 5 words that I would describe that you're actually feeling. So let's talk about them and how we can overcome them. The first is that you're not lazy, you're overwhelmed. And that's the reason you wake up and don't feel like doing anything. You're so bogged down with your daily tasks, your responsibilities, that your brain cannot power through it all. What you've come to believe is laziness is actually an inability to act due to having so much to do that your mind cannot make a decision on what to do first. You can overcome this by taking things out of your brain and just putting them on paper. This doesn't guarantee that you will actually do them, but it does offer a space for clarity and prioritizing. And once those thoughts and ideas are written down, you can mentally dissect which ones are more important and go with it. And suddenly you'll start to feel like your inaction is turned into some type of movement, so you're propelled to take action as opposed to just being overwhelmed and doing nothing. Number 2, you're not lazy, you're distracted. Between TV, TikTok, Instagram, the news, Facebook, YouTube, you have so much noise in your space. And while you may think that you're doing a good job at multitasking, you are just distracted. You cannot split your time. The effectiveness of multitasking, it's not real. It's a myth. There's no such thing as effectively multitasking. It doesn't work, and it has no real benefit. All you're doing by convincing yourself that you are multitasking is wasting time and unnecessarily splitting your energy between tasks that would be more efficiently completed if done with your 100% focus. Instead, close the apps, stop scrolling as a passing task. If you're cleaning, play some music or listen to a podcast and clean. But trying to catch up on the latest videos and post while cleaning is ineffective. You need to give yourself a set time to indulge in social media if you're going to do that. Don't scroll mindlessly. And you want to stick to it if you set this time. Being too invested in multiple things at once is not beneficial, and it actually just ends up draining you. Number 3, you're not lazy, you're just tired, maybe even exhausted. And I've already said that you're overwhelmed and distracted, but being tired is different. It's not something that a simple night of 8 hours of sleep will fix. To be tired is to be mentally, physically, and even sometimes emotionally drained. So although you may be sleep deprived and that's preventing you from doing, you may also just have reached the point in which you have to stop and recover. And there are many ways to recover from being tired. The first and most obvious is by doing less, right? Let go of the idea that you have to do it all and that you have to carry every burden. There's at least 1 or 2 tasks that we can outsource or delegate to someone else. And we want to do that so that we can have fewer responsibilities. Now, this may mean handing off household chores to your children or opting for delivery and pickup services instead of shopping in store. But we need to do something to take things off of our plate so that we are not so physically exhausted. Number 4, you're not lazy. You're committed to things that just aren't important to you. When something is urgent or important, no matter how overwhelmed, distracted, or tired we are, we tend to get it done. Things like homework assignments, work deadlines, projects, speeches that have to be written, paying bills, the list goes on. We procrastinate because we can, and oftentimes we're more likely to skip out on or roll over less important and urgent tasks until the next day, week, maybe even month. And less important tasks that we avoid can make us feel like we're being lazy. And sometimes we are. But sometimes we just don't have the energy to take care of a task that won't make a difference in our immediate future, or that just doesn't matter one way or another. The second thing is decreasing your commitments. You may just have to take your hand out of all of the pots that it's currently in. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to serve everyone. You don't have to be readily available for everything. Try saying no to 2 commitments this week. And don't you dare replace that time with something else. Pour back into yourself instead. You deserve time off without having to be productive. Not every moment of your life needs to be occupied by tasks. You don't have to always be busy. Number 5, you're not lazy. You just lack the resources to do what you need effectively. And sometimes it's not enough at your disposal to do everything that you need to do. You may have a list of things to get through, but you only have the budget or the resources to do half of those things. And it can be frustrating to not have all that you need. And it can also infuriate you to the point of wanting to just do nothing, because it's just like, what else can I do? But don't let that be the case. We know that we can't do it all, but we can do something. So instead of becoming overwhelmed with all that we cannot do, let's focus on one thing. You can always do one thing. And the one thing that you do have the resources and the energy to do that. And then when you knock that one out, do something else. And if you run out of money, resources, stop. You can only do what you can do. We're not always as lazy and unmotivated as we think. Sometimes there are other barriers, emotions, and even boundaries in our way that prevent us from being so-called productive. And it's of no use to any of us to continue to push through these feelings. Instead, we should learn to make proper adjustments so that we can continue to live in a productive and happy life. See you next time.